Welcome back to Movie Recapped. Today I will show you a crime, horror, mystery film from 2017, titled Jigsaw. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. The police can be seen setting up a spike strip on the road to stop a criminal. He passes right through it, then rams into a barricade. Edgar escapes his vehicle and runs toward the nearest building, with the cops right on his tail. He speeds through the staircase and ends up on the roof of the building, looking for something. Edgar finds a mark on the roof and grabs something hidden behind it. The police officers arrive and he says that nothing can stop it now. Then asks for Detective Halloran. If he doesn't come there fast, 5 people will die. Halloran arrives and meets up with Detective Hunt. They join Edgar on the roof and he tells them that he can't put down the remote because the games are just getting started. According to the rules, he has to choose who will die, the 5 people or him. Both detectives have their guns on him, but Halloran tells Hunt not to shoot Edgar but the trigger if it comes to it. The man looks at the clock and gets ready to activate the trigger, saying there's no more time, so the detectives shoot his hand off. Simultaneously, a timer begins counting down from a minute. Back at the roof, Halloran approaches Edgar and sees that he's also been shot in the chest. Before he loses consciousness, Edgar tells him that the game has begun. The timer counts down to 1 and 5 people with iron masks on their heads are revealed waking up chained in a room. They can't get the masks off and see that they are chained to walls with saws on them. Suddenly, Jigsaw speaks to them over the comm system, telling them that they are there to release themselves from their habitual lies. If they confess, the truth will set them free. But breaking the rules will mean death. He tells them they need to make an offering of blood which will activate the green light on their masks and present a possibility to get out of the room. Suddenly, the chains are being rolled up into the walls, dragging the people toward them. The saws activate as well. 4 of them try to pull on the chains and the 5th one seems to be unconscious or dead. The pull continues and the woman next to him can't wake him up. One of the women realizes what the puzzle means and cuts her hand on one of the saws, effectively solving the puzzle and stopping the saws. The green light means she can take out her mask. She tells the men around her what to do. One of them cuts his finger off and is set loose. The second cuts his hand. The woman tells the other woman what to do too, but she struggles with her, unwilling to do it. She drops on the saws with her back, but they stop before they can harm her too much. The 5th prisoner wakes up, just as the walls open and drag the people inside another room. He doesn't make it to the next room that looks like a barn. Meanwhile, the 2 detectives are at the hospital where Edgar has been brought. Hunt wonders what has been triggered when he hit the remote and asks Halloran why he asked for him. He says that he had arrested him twice, for various crimes. The doctor comes out and Halloran tells her that they need to talk to him. She says that won't be possible, because he'll be in a medically induced coma until he stabilizes. Halloran tells Hunt to start a list with Edgar's known associates. Back to the prisoners. The blonde woman, Carly, is screaming because she's hurt, and the other one, Anna, tries to help her. One of the men, Mitch, screams at the camera asking Jigsaw what he wants from them. Anna reminds them about what he said when they were in the previous room. The 4th prisoner, Ryan, doesn't understand what kind of joke is being played on them, but Anna says that if it really is a game as their captor said, they should be lucky because those can be won. Later, the body of the 5th prisoner is found hanging from a bridge in a park. Nelson is playing baseball with his daughter, when Halloran shows up to get him. Next, the 2 of them are in the autopsy room, examining the body. Bonneville takes out the mask, to reveal an annihilated face. They find a mark on the body that looks like Jigsaw's calling sign, but Halloran hopes it's not a copycat because he's been dead for 10 years. Hunt walks in and gives his condolences to Nelson for the death of his wife. They find something lodged in the mark. It is revealed to be a USB. They find an audio track on it. It's Jigsaw's voice saying that the games have begun again and will not stop until the sins against the innocent are atoned for. He also mentions the 4 prisoners. Hunt takes the track to voice recognition, because they can't believe it might be Jigsaw. Suddenly, the Jigsaw doll activates in the room with the prisoners, carrying a message to confess. Mitch tries to open the door and the doll laughs. The chains begin pulling them again and they try confessing. Mitch confesses that he stole a bike once and the kid he sold it to died. Anna confesses that when she and her husband lost their baby, her husband made a mistake and their marriage fell apart. Mitch sees a recorder on the doll and manages to get it. Suddenly, the pulling rig on the chains collapses, leaving them chained to the ceiling. Before Mitch can play the tape, 3 syringes drop down, with number on them. The recording says that one of them is a purse snatcher, that made the wrong decision between helping someone and taking their money. Now that person can die without the right medication because they were injected with a poison. One of the syringes contains the antidote. The other contain a saline solution and an acid. If they inject the correct one they will be released, if not all of them could die. Anna tells the others to check themselves for marks to figure out who was injected, but Carly looks guilty and Ryan tells her to pick a needle. She's afraid if it might be the acid, so she doesn't want to choose, neither does she confess. Ryan confronts her and she says that someone did die, though not because of her. They convince her to choose, by picking one of the numbers. She sees a number with the same amount she stole from the woman that she left for dead. The chains begin to roll up again and Ryan screams at her to choose. They begin to hang and he struggles with her, trying to inject her. When he eventually succeeds, they drop down out of the restraints and see that he injected her with all 3 solutions. Carl dies horrendously. Anna confronts Ryan, but he rationalizes that he saved their lives. Mitch thinks that the numbers on the syringe with the amount Carly stole might be the combination to the lock. Bonneville identifies the body of the 5th prisoner. Both Nelson and Halloran remember his case. He was a gambler, whose wife was killed because he owed someone money. The guys that did that were never caught. The pathologists inform the detectives about what they found on the body. Halloran tells them that the voice on the recording was really Jigsaw's voice. Bonneville comments that if his games are back on, there are 4 potential victims like the recording suggested. Meanwhile, the 3 of them that are left, open the locked door and enter the next room. This one has windows and Ryan says that they are somewhere in the countryside, though he can't tell where for certain. Anna asks him what his sin is, he replies that it's nothing that bad. When he asks her that same question, she keeps insisting that it was her husband's fault and that she should not be punished for it. Her husband killed their baby by rolling over it in his sleep and suffocating him. Ryan sees the door that has no exit written on it and thinks that they should go though that one, because the other 2 will lead them exactly where their captor wants them to go. He proceeds to break open the locks, but his foot collapses through the ground and gets caught in a trap. Ryan freaks out and begs the others to help. Anna removes part of the footing and sees the wires around his leg as well as some kind of handle. Mitch finds another tape and the wires begin tightening around Ryan's leg. As Mitch gets closer to the tape and moves it a bit, they continue to tighten even more. Ryan pleads with Mitch to grab the tape and when he manages to do it, he gives it over to him so he could play it. This one says that there are no shortcuts in life and that they made a poor decision not to follow the rules. If they pull the handle, they will be set free. Ryan doesn't know what that means and is worried it might be bad. Simultaneously, the pathologists discover that some of the matter they found on the body were feces, as well as a virus found in pigs. Nelson tells Bonneville to keep digging. An officer comes in and tells them there's another body. The 2 of them join Halloran at the scene of the crime. He shows them a message left on the body that there are only 3 left. Nelson asks the detective if it's a coincidence that the girl was dropped from the roof of the same hospital that Edgar is in. Halloran jokes that he couldn't have done it, then Nelson realizes that she didn't die from the fall. The body is at the autopsy room and they find that she was burned from the inside by hydrochloric acid. Nelson finds another puzzle piece in the body. Halloran asks Hunt about him. He says that Nelson was captured and tortured by the Taliban when he served in the army. Back at the farm, Ryan is still trapped and can't decide what to do. The others are looking for a way out. The lights suddenly go out and a small door opens on the other side of the room. Mitch and Anna step inside and leave Ryan behind. Suddenly a TV powers up next to Ryan. He calls for the others and they tell him that there is also one there. Mitch will have to lift Anna to get to the remote. The moment she pulls it down, the door of their room closes. They can't open it. Suddenly, Jigsaw appears on both TVs. He says that in the past they have put their own interests above others and lied to themselves and the world. Now they have to face who they are. If Ryan pulls the lever before the 2 of them are buried alive, they will live. They can see each other on the TVs. Grain begins filling the inside of the silo where Mitch and Anna are and they call out to him to save them, but he's afraid. At the same time, Halloran questions Bonneville. He asks her to prove her alibi and leaves her speechless. Nelson Skypes with his daughter, when the 2 detectives come in to question him about his Bonneville. They found a site devoted to Jigsaw and got a lot of hits from her on it. They don't think that she is the copycat, but she also doesn't have an alibi. Halloran asks him why she stayed and didn't take a better job that was offered to her. The lab calls and the detectives go there. The blood sample found under the fingernails of the first victim belongs to Jigsaw. The detectives can't believe it. At the farm, the silo keeps filling up and Ryan needs to make a decision. He can't do it and tells them to go to hell. Suddenly, the grain stops and a spading fork drops from above, then other tools begin to drop, including a knife. One digs into Mitch and a circular saw almost kills Anna. They cry after Ryan, as things keep dropping on them. He pulls the lever and the wires cut off his leg. Suddenly, the light come on, the doors open and Anna and Mitch are released. The media has gotten the information that Jigsaw might be back. Nelson goes to see Bonneville at a bar and tells her that Halloran is looking into them. She says that they're even watching her house. Nelson doesn't like Halloran much because they have some bad professional history together. He asks her about the job offer and she says that it's complicated, then explains that she lied about her alibi. She was actually at her studio, which she doesn't want to share with them. He tells her that they think he's involved and that she has to tell the truth. Bonneville takes Nelson to show him her studio. Before she locks the door, someone grabs it. She turns the light on and shows him her installations that look like torture devices. Halloran is in the studio as well. One of the traps is made after a plan that Jigsaw made, that she bought online from some guy. According to a rumor, he also built one of them. Nelson tells her that no body was found matching the wounds that the trap would have made. Hunt is observing them from outside, taking pictures of the devices. Nelson tells Bonneville to get rid of all of the traps. Meanwhile, someone enters Edgar's room and injects his IV with something. He wakes up. At the farm, Anna is trying to help Ryan by putting pressure on his wound. Nelson wakes from a nightmare. He goes to bathroom and lashing wounds can be seen on his back. Halloran and Hunt have developed the photos and are happy that they have probable cause to look into Bonneville. Hunt tells Halloran that the commissioner wants to see Jigsaw's remains. He thinks that's stupid and sits down to look into Nelson's army file. Halloran gets a call about Edgar disappearing. Back at the farm, Anna checks on Ryan and he's still breathing. Suddenly, a car turns on and it has a red mark on it. There is a tape inside with his name on it. He plays it and gets caught by another trap. The tape tells the complete version of Mitch's story. The bike he sold to the kid had faulty brakes, which made him responsible for his death. Anna reveals the same trap that Bonneville had made. The kid was Jigsaw's nephew. Mitch is being pulled into the trap, which is being powered by the engine from the bike that his nephew bought. If he can avoid the dangers inside and get to the brake handle at the bottom, the motor will stop. The motor powers the device on. Anna wants to figure out a way to help him, so she jumps next to the bike and tells him to pull the brake. He almost gets to it and the blades in the trap graze his arm, so he pulls back. Anna jams a rod into the bike's wheel and stops the device from spinning. He thinks he's saved, but it starts again and grinds him up completely. Meanwhile, Halloran is screaming at the officer who was supposed to guard Edgar and Hunt is overseeing the digging up of Jigsaw's remains. The media is there as well and Halloran is happy because that way everyone will know that Jigsaw is dead. Unfortunately, when the casket is opened, Edgar's body is revealed to be inside. Halloran orders Hunt to get a warrant out for Bonneville. Later, SWAT is moving on to her studio. They go in and find all her traps, including the Jigsaw one. Halloran notices a fake wall and opens it up. They find a secret room with Jigsaw paraphernalia inside. And when Halloran hits the light switch, Mitch's body drops down from the ceiling, with a note that there are only 2 left. Hunt doesn't believe that Bonneville would just leave the body there. They split up to get her and Nelson. Hunt goes to arrest Nelson and even though he says he hasn't done anything, he lets Hunt to cuff him. They speak and Nelson tells him his theory that Halloran is the one that has orchestrated everything. Nelson also knows that Hunt is from Internal Affairs. He was on his case even before the murders happened. The victims in this case are also all mixed up in his cases. Nelson tells him to bring him in, because he's trying to frame him. Hunt thinks he blames the detective for his wife's death, but doesn't believe Halloran did it. He allows Nelson to perform the autopsy on Edgar and match the slug in his chest to Halloran's firearm. He takes it out and says that it matches the type of gun that Halloran uses. Hunt releases Nelson and goes to get Halloran. Nelson comes back home and finds Bonneville there. He tells her that she's no longer a suspect. She says that she found the farm where the game is being played. Bonneville thinks that they should go after Jigsaw by themselves. Halloran tracks them. Meanwhile, Anna tries to open the door, but finds it chained. She crawls out even though Ryan begs her not to leave him. Suddenly, someone sedates her. She wakes up chained to the floor. The captor is there, as well as Ryan. Jigsaw is their captor. Anna recognizes him. He tells her that she's about to play a game, a final test. Jigsaw asks Ryan why should he show him mercy if he's guilty for 3 deaths and he still hasn't confessed. Ryan's story is that he was involved in an accident with 2 of his friends and he lied to the police by saying that his best friend was to blame for it. Ryan confesses that he did it and says that he wants to live. Jigsaw retorts that he also wants that. Were it not for the mistake on an intern in the hospital he was in, his cancer could have been diagnosed sooner. Anna and Jigsaw were neighbors and she was very supportive when his diagnosis was finally revealed. He questions her story about what happened to her baby. She suffocated it and made it look like it was her husband. He went mad because he believed he did it and he killed himself. Jigsaw tells them to assume responsibility for who they are. Simultaneously, the pathologists arrive at the farm that belonged to Jigsaw's wife. They leave the car and Halloran arrives there too. Hunt calls him, but he doesn't pick up. He's at his house searching for evidence, when they find pieces of the victim's skin in his fridge. Meanwhile, Nelson and Bonneville enter the farmhouse, with Halloran right on their tail. They find the second room and enter the first one, realizing that the first victim died there. Suddenly, they hear some noise. Jigsaw is preparing the last trap and Ryan tells him that he would do anything if he lets him go. He tells both of them that he'll give them an opportunity to turn their ways around. Jigsaw places a shotgun with a single round in the middle of the room and tells them it's up to them to decide what they'll do with it. Nelson and Bonneville stumble up the same trap as the one she has made, and he begins to suspect her, especially because she's obsessed with Jigsaw. She insists it's Halloran, when he suddenly appears behind Nelson. They drop their weapons, but Nelson immediately begins to fight with Halloran for his gun. Bonneville runs and they struggle, until Halloran knocks out Nelson. Then he goes after her. Anna thinks that Jigsaw wants her to kill Ryan, but he begs her not to do it. She grabs the shotgun, but hesitates to shoot him for a moment, when Ryan figures something out about the trap. She presses the switch and the gun explodes in her hands, killing her. Ryan finds the keys to their locks in the round, but his is broken in half. Jigsaw's trap was a play on words, calling the round their key to freedom. Anna misunderstood and killed them both. Meanwhile, Halloran looks for Bonneville, when someone sedates him. Nelson wakes up with a trap on his neck, and next to him is Halloran with the same kind of trap. He screams for help. Jigsaw speaks to them, saying that they are the final two players in the game. He tells them that if they admit to the reason that they deserve to die, they can escape death. The game will select one of them, unless someone chooses to go first. Halloran says he'll go first and presses Nelson's button. The lasers on his trap turn on and he confesses that he was the one that messed up his x-rays. He apologizes and confesses, but he still dies. It's Halloran's turn to confess. He says that he tampered with evidence, took bribes and put innocent people away. He says that he did it and the lasers switch off. Suddenly, he notices that Nelson's lasers were fake. He gets up and takes the fake trap off. Nelson says that he was Jigsaw all along. The game that was played in the barn took place 10 years earlier, but the bodies were never found. Nelson was the fifth prisoner, but Jigsaw decided that he didn't want him to die over an honest mistake, so he gave him a second chance. Nelson had recreated the game with people from Halloran's cases, but he put 3 people in the game. The 2 of them make the remaining 2. He asks Halloran why he let Edgar go, when he was the one to kill his wife. Though he says that it was never proven. Nelson then explains further how he made the game possible by recreating Jigsaw and framing Halloran. The serial killer had helped Nelson put his life back together after the war, so he helped him create a legacy. Nelson kills Halloran and says that he is there to speak for the dead. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.